With the new year just beginning, I wanted to look back to 2017 and remember the games that gave me a ton of fun for the year and talk about them for a bit. However, I wanted to lay down some rules to make it a bit more interesting. One, no Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild would be on this list, the reason being that it would just be too obvious and predictable. The other rule is no Wii U ports of any kind. So, that means no Pokken or Mario Kart. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's just talk about my top 5 Switch games of 2017. Splatoon 2. Splatoon 1 was a huge surprise for me back on the Wii U. The very idea of Nintendo developing a multiplayer-focused shooter was something I wasn't sure they'd be able to succeed in. The characters was interesting and the game looked fun, but I was worried if people would adopt this new idea and give it a high player base. Splatoon would go on to end up a massive success and a new IP for Nintendo. So naturally, we got a sequel. Now, what can I say about Splatoon 2? Well, that's a little easy. It's fun, and it's just like the first game with many new additions to keep it fresh. Splatoon 2 is on this list because it's a ton of fun, and things like Salmon Run really helps keep the game interesting when you suddenly don't feel like playing against other players. It's not any higher on this list though, because it doesn't do too much to change itself from its predecessor, and a lot of the time it feels almost like it's the same game. There's nothing wrong with more Splatoon fun, but more could have been done here. Maybe this was done on purpose so it could launch on the Switch and help boost sales. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Wow. Okay. So, speaking of games that were surprises, I don't think there's any other game that surprised me more than this game did for 2017. Ubisoft had the idea of taking Super Mario and Rabbids, combining the two with guns. And it works. For some weird as hell reason. If you never played the game, it's basically XCOM with their own spin, and it's unique enough to not play anything like XCOM, but rather be its own thing, if that makes sense. The Rabbids aren't as annoying as many thought they'd be, and the humor was genuinely pretty funny at times, even Rabbid Peach of all things. If you're someone who typically hates the Rabbids but loves Mario or maybe strategy games, maybe you should give this game a chance. It's weirdly better than I expected it to be and should be given a shot. Davide Soliani, Grant Kirkhope, and the rest of the team over at Ubisoft did a great job with this game. And if I may speak directly to Davide Soliani himself, I have no doubt in my mind Shigeru Miyamoto is proud of your work. Good job, sir. Enter the Gungeon. Now, this game is not an exclusive by any means, but it is on the Switch, and in my opinion, it's the #1 indie game available on the Switch right now. Obviously, I haven't played every single eShop game that there is, but in terms of the one I've played, this is my favorite one. Enter the Gungeon is a roguelike top-down shooter, and if you've never played a roguelike in any way, it's basically random every time you play it. It's also pretty hilarious what some of the bosses are, and the guns available in this game are full of references and just weird ideas, like a bullet that shoots shotguns that shoot more bullets, or a bee's nest with a funnel sticking out of it where the character would simply shake it to send out a horde of bees at the enemy. You will die a lot in this game, and that's okay. You gotta keep trying and do a bit better every time. This is the type of game where you're meant to keep coming back to it and try and try and try and just do a bit better every time. It's funny, it's tough, but it's always time to enter the Gungeon. ARMS. My most successful video ever was about this game, and why it may have the problems it has with the Nintendo community, and it's easily one of my favorite Switch games as of now. I honestly don't have much to say on this game though, since my most recent video was just about it, so I'd recommend you guys check out that video. Unless you found me with that video, since it's the one where most of my subs came from, so yeah. ARMS is the Switch's most underrated game. That's about it. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The first Xenoblade Chronicles is one of my top favorite games of all time, with its amazing soundtrack, amazing story, beautiful locations, and top tier twists that I can't help but looking at it as one of the best JRPGs ever made. So, when they announced the sequel, I was extremely hyped and ready to jump in as soon as possible. Now, let me start off by saying that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is just not as good as the first game due to some issues with voice acting and design. However, this doesn't stop the sequel from being one of the best the Switch has to offer at the moment. While the music isn't as close to perfection as the first, it still does a fantastic job in nearly every front. And while the story isn't as good either, it's really interesting and it does keep you engaged. However, I do feel that at times there's a lot of filler in between, but when the story picks up, it really picks up. The number one problem this game suffers from, though, is the voice acting. In some scenes, it's laughably bad, and they can ruin important moments. However, even if this game doesn't live up to the standards of the first game, this is an incredibly high standard, and one that, even though it doesn't quite reach the first, it's still one of the best experiences you will have on your Switch, and I highly recommend giving this one a chance. As of now, I've spent countless hours trying to get the best blades I could possibly get and train my party, and with so many things you can do to improve them, it's gonna take so much of your time. Alright, those were my top 5 Switch games of 2017. Usually I'd have Mario and Zelda at the top, but I just feel it wouldn't make sense to have them included, considering I made a video a while back discussing which one of those two was my personal game of the year. So I had to make this list a bit more interesting by not having them as my obvious answers. It's the start of a new year, so I thought I'd really quickly thank a few people who helped out along the way. Guys like Mike's Monster Gaming, Triforce, True Eagle, and of course my close friends who helped me go from a dark time of my life to a content creator here on YouTube. I also have to thank pretty much every single person who watches these videos. Likes, comments, and all the stuff YouTube loves. I can only look forward to what 2018 brings me. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Love you, take care, thanks for watching, later.